I think we need to appreciate what it is that we're driving in today.
So cool.
Bit of an early start this morning. We're up at 5 AM because today we're ticking off something we were told we have to do when you come to central Vietnam.
We're going to a place called My Son, which is it's a religious UNESCO heritage site. It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And it's basically nestled in the mountains. It's these old ruins, which are like temples and towers.
So apparently it's sort of like Vietnam's version of Angkor Wat with its own history and all sorts of stuff as well that we hopefully will learn, but we're up early to try and beat the crowds. So we're stoked today to be able to partner with Hoi An Jeep Adventures, who have got to be one of the coolest tour companies that we have seen around town.
We've seen like their old school Jeeps and SUVs like cruising around the streets.
Yeah,
they look awesome.
They look sick. So we're not 100% sure what the itinerary is for the day. All we know is we're going to head out now. It's just coming up to 6 o'clock and hopefully go and meet our driver. Before we properly get this tour started though, I think we need to appreciate what it is that we're driving in today.
So cool.
So I've just driven about 15 minutes to our first stop with our guide Tony. First stop is a really local market, so we're just checking out what some of the local kids eat before they go to school, seeing what the markets are all about. Well, that was a cool surprise. We sat down in a local coffee shop and just had some coffee and got to properly experience it in the not so Western environment. As much as we love driving the scooter everywhere ourselves, already we can see today's going to be epic just having somebody else sort of take us on a journey. So we're excited for what's next. So this is an original like machine gun cartridge. It would have had bullets inside of it.
That's here the Jeep, you know, my boss bought from Iraq around 1991.
So it came over on a boat.
Yeah.
And then helicopter to lift it up.
Yeah, lift it up and land it, you know, right in Da Nang City.
Yeah, in Da Nang.
Yeah, and we bought it right back here.
That's incredible.
Wow.
And,
original.
And so they've got like about 10 different Jeeps?
Yes.
Wow. For all the different tools.
We have only one hammer. The original Iraq Jeep, you know.
Wow, so cool.
So just stopped at a local place for some lunch. We're gonna have some mi guan, which is actually mi ga because our one's got chicken, peanuts, and noodles. And Stacey's gonna try and be like the locals here. You gotta crack it all up. Not quite as talented as them.
Voila.
Beautiful.
Oh, much better.
So it shows how foreign we are to waking up early. I was just talking about we'd stopped for a spot of lunch and everything, and then Stacey's like, what time is it?
It's 8:28 in the morning.
This is breakfast. We're having noodles for breakfast. But it was absolutely delicious though, and I think I might get some of Stacey's leftovers as well. So I've been driving for about 20 minutes. We've just arrived at the My Son grounds. jumped on our shuttle, which is going to take us the 2Ks actually up to the ruins, and then we're going to have a chat to Tony and try and figure out a little bit more about the history of this place.
From here, you're gonna walk among the different complex.
Okay.
That is the more important one because the first temple, the highest one here, is worth 30 meters. But the chapel, you see the bomb crater here, were found there around 1973.
So we had no idea before coming here, but this whole area actually covers 2 square kilometers. So it's enormous, as you would have just seen on the poster there. And actually it's named after this mountain, which is, I mean, we read it as my son, but that is Misan.
Misan Holy Land. Yeah, and this is the Hindu temple were built by the Cham people who control in the Vietnam from the 2nd century. After 13th century to the 17th century, it happened the Civil War. The Civil War between the Vietnamese who came to invading to here. Yeah, and they control the Cham. They fought the Chamba moving down to the south. Until to now, even though when the war finished, over the American War and French War, when we come back here, we found just remain 20 relics.
Only 20 left, right.
50 were absolutely fallen down.
Okay.
So this crater here was apparently from a bomb.
That's huge. The camera doesn't do a great job of showing just how large that is. And then which one is it? This big one up here?
Yeah, it used to be 30 meters.
It's definitely not 30 meters anymore. That's all from the bombs.
Let the temple stay here a long time, 1,000 years. But you look at that, it's really not even never damaged by nature.
Yeah.
It's very amazing because the Champa, they did know that how to borrow the nature from the super nature to protect the old temple.
They were the best. This whole area was built so long ago by people that had no resources and no tools and no mortar to actually build any of it. Yet even today, with the technology that we have, that nobody can actually recreate as good as what the Cham did originally when they very first were here. Just sort of, it blows your mind. As you can probably tell already, we travel a lot without a tour guide, and just having Tony here telling us, we're sort of regretting some of the places that we've been that we probably should have had a guide to learn more of this stuff. So these are bullet holes apparently. It turns out there's actually a lot of bullet holes around here. Here's another one just randomly in an open area. So this whole area here has actually been rebuilt by the Italians. There was so many bomb craters that you couldn't really venture around in here. So they took a lot of the brick and recreated it from the area surrounding, and it took them 10 years to rebuild it. So this one's actually being rebuilt by the Vietnamese about 5 years ago, and they're not quite sure if it's going to survive. Most of the others that were built 5 to 10 years ago were crumbling. You can quite clearly see the color difference between the older stuff, which was the original Cham, and then the Vietnamese having a crack at trying to recreate without mortar or with little mortar as possible to see if it will survive long term. This is a really interesting spot here. This is the first one that we've seen that has not probably been restored yet. And funnily enough, it's right next to a couple of enormous bomb craters. It's absolutely insane. So this is it here, and this is the first that we've seen since walking around anyway. it's actually covered and protected because they haven't started to restore anything yet. They're trying to protect it.
Dane's just getting in here for scale. He's checked that it's not going to offend anyone.
But I just wanted to give it some scale. Like, it's really hard to tell on camera. As you can see behind me, that is just swarms of people coming in. There were 3 people there when we first arrived, and now there's probably 300. The lesson definitely is get up early, and it's incredibly hot now as well, so that definitely changes things. Which one would you rather go in? The bus, the minivan, the car, or this thing? Yeah! So we're back now, it's 12 o'clock. It feels like it should be way later because we were up so early. And just reflecting on how awesome that day was and just how cool my son was, and doing it with a tour, with a guide.
Yeah, it made it so much better. We saw other people walking around there that...
Just last day.
Yeah.
You don't really know what's going on, and that was us in the past when we would do that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we want to say a massive thank you to Hoi An Jeep Adventures, because going in the Jeeps and hearing the history of the cars themselves as well, and just balling out in those things.
Yeah, you feel pretty cool, eh?
Surprisingly comfortable as well.
Yeah.
You get some really good looks. You can tell. I mean, we used to look at them as well when we'd spotted them driving through the street. So if you do want to look into doing a tour with those guys, we'll always have a link in the description below. Our personal recommendation, well, mine, I'm assuming the same. Absolutely awesome.
Oh yeah, 100%. They're so cool.
Really cool day, and I'm so pleased that we did it.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tony.
Awesome day.
Thank you.
Good time.
Thank you.
Thanks again for watching anyway, and
Catch you in the comments.
yeah, we'll chat to you in the comments. See you guys.